What's up, guys? Slaughterfit's back here with another video. This time we're doing another Skyrim build. This build is a Spellsword. Spellsword is a class from older Elder Scrolls games, and you might encounter spell swords in Skyrim. I'm not sure. I have a vague memory of like an enemy named Spellsword, but I don't know. I could be making that up. But yeah, so this is a Spellsword build. Basically, Spellswords are mages who use some armor and swords. And so yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with apparel, this is not the best build you could ever do because this guy is wearing robes or clothes. So, obviously armor would be better, but this is kind of a more RPG role-playing lore purpose build. Spellsword kind of takes me back to older Elder Scrolls games. So yeah. So gray robes. I just thought this was kind of a mage looking thing, and it matches the armor, and I think it looks pretty good, the kind of armor and the robes together. But yeah, I enchanted it so health is increased by 70 points. Destruction spells cost 28% less to cast. Gold sapphire ring increases your health by 70 points. One-handed attacks do 45% more damage. So, this guy, I basically want him to have, a lot of health, be able to do a lot with his sword, and be able to do a lot of different types of magicka. So, a tall ass. And then for the silver sapphire necklace, increases armor rating by 28 points. One-handed attacks do 45% more damage. For steel plate boots, one-handed attacks do 45% more damage. Stamina regenerates 35% faster. One-handed attacks do 45% more damage. Increases your magicka by 70 points. Oh yeah, and so steel and plate, gauntlets and boots, steel plate, gauntlets and boots, have an armor rating of 74, and the helmet here has an armor rating of 88. And for this one, I enchanted it so my magicka is increased by 70 points, and destruction spells cost 28% less to cast. And for the weapons, I just have one weapon, a sword, as in, spell sword, just weapons and magicka. And it is a Nord hero sword. I thought it kind of looked good with, the steel build. I think it's a little bit better than steel, so yeah. And Nord hero stuff is basically just kind of like a cleaned up version of the Draugr ancient Nord weapons. And I believe you make it at the, you have to make it at, the Skyforge. That's what it's called, Skyforge. So yeah, with all my enchantments and fully upgrading it, it has a damage rating of 252. And for this, sword, I enchanted it so it absorbs 28 points of magicka and has a chance to paralyze the target for 7 seconds. So the kind of idea with this guy is I have, magicka going while I'm, fighting. And so I can kind of paralyze people, drain them of their magicka, and be using magicka against them, and replenishing my magicka as I do so. So yeah. So for race, I did Breton because they have magicka resistance, so I'm good with magicka and I can take it. So, dish it out and you can take some. So, that's always good. And yeah, I just thought Breton would be a good, race for this build. And yeah, let's move on to the magicka, shall we? So, for the magicka, this guy does lightning magic with a little bit of, alteration and restoration. So yeah. Let's demonstrate, shall we? Oh yeah, and Dragon Skin is a Breton ability. Absorb 50% of magicka from hostile spells for 60 seconds. So if I turn that on and I'm using the sword, I'm just absorbing a ton of magicka. So yeah, the spells, let me demonstrate them for y'all. Chain Lightning, it's a classic destruction spell. I think it does around 70 points of damage, 75. Blasts, big, beam of electricity, a lightning bolt at them, and you know, it has a pretty good range. I'm not sure quite how far it goes, but pretty far. Yeah, that one pretty far. And then Ebony Flesh, sorry, of course, is you know, a protecting spell that allows you to take more damage. And then healing, of course, you know what healing is. And then Lightning Storm is a, you know, let me move away from the village so I don't hurt anyone. Lightning Storm is a expert level magicka. I mean, not expert, master level destruction spell. So yeah, let me demonstrate. You have to do a little bit of a charge up for it, and I think if you get hit while you do it, it messes up. But you basically just do this like, oops. Basically do this kind of Kamehameha from Dragon Ball. And you can aim it, it's cool. But I think it drains your magicka. But I do have a ton of magicka. And then Lightning Cloak is a super good spell in my opinion. I think it's expert level. You basically have a cloak of lightning around you, so if anything gets close to you, they're taking lightning damage, or I don't know what you call it, magicka damage? I don't know what lightning is. But yeah. So since our gauntlets and our helmet are heavy armor, you want to increase you want to max out Juggernaut, so increases the armor rating by 100%. But the rest of these only apply to if you're wearing all heavy armor, so you know, that changes things. You don't need to get these. And I will say, you know, there is no benefit to wearing clothes. It would definitely be better to wear armor. But, you know, if you want a little bit of a challenge or just a cool look or more of a RPG build, you know, test it out. So one-handed you want to basically max out. So max out arm spin so one-handed attacks do twice as much damage. Fighting stance, so power attacks with one-handed weapons cost 28%, I mean not 28, what the fuck, 25% less stamina. Standing power attacks do 25% bonus damage with a chance to decapitate your enemies. Can do a one-handed power attack while sprinting that does double critical damage. Backwards power attacks has a 25% chance to paralyze the target. Oh yeah, and attacks with swords have a 20% chance of doing even more critical damage. So Bladesman, this guy uses a sword. If you were going to use a mace, you use this. If you're going to use an axe, you use this. And we're not doing dual wielding, so we don't do these ones. Both dual flurry and dual savagery is only if you're doing dual wielding weapons. And then for destruction, you want to do novice level all the way through expert. You could do master, but you know, on this guy I mostly just do expert, so I didn't do it all the way. You could get rune master. You know, this guy does use the poison runes, but I've never found it to be that helpful, especially with a poison rune. I mean, you're not gonna, you know, get someone 50 feet away and wait for it to slowly kill them over 15 minutes. Like, you just want to hit them with some poison runes as you're fighting them. So, you know, I don't really see a huge purpose for this. And then with this guy, I use shock, so I got augmented shock and disintegrate, but if you're using frost, you would get these two, and if you're using flames, you would use these two. And this build is fairly similar to my paladin build in the sense that, you know, it's a armored kind of mage guy with some weapons that, you know, employs a fair amount of restoration. So I have novice restoration. I didn't really do past novice just because I just use normal healing. I've always been, maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm sure there's better ones. I've always just, you know, really been a normal healing guy. Respite healing also restores stamina. Healing cures 50% more with the regeneration. Dual casting, of course. Recovery makes magicka regenerate 50% faster, which is super helpful for this. So yeah, so the thing about you know, restoration is it's kind of just a good skill to have, like, in general. Like, I would say, I don't think there is a build that exists where it wouldn't make sense to put a decent amount of stuff into restoration. As in, you know, if you are a mage, having magicka regenerate 50% faster is always going to be helpful. If you know, are a shield guy or a two-handed guy or someone that needs stamina, you know, respite is helpful. Uh, and then, yeah. And then, basically, anyone could use Avoid Death, which is basically once a day, heals 250 points automatically if you fall below 10% health. So if someone hits you and you're like, gosh, and just take like a real, like you're right on like the doorstep of dying, then you'll get healed once per day, 250 points of health. But I'm pretty sure if it's the type of thing where they just do massive amounts of damage and you're on like half health and then it just kills you with one hit like a dragon or something, it wouldn't save you like as you're taking the damage. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Comment if I'm wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure it's like if the hit leaves you with less than 10% health, then it heals you 250 points. So the last school you'll need to do is Alteration, and I got Novice all the way through Expert, just because Master, the Dragon Hide or whatever it is, you know, decent, but I believe, sorry about all the noise in the background, guys, my cat's running all over the place, but I believe Ebony Flesh, I think is only like a slight downgrade from Dragon Hide. It's not even that much of a difference. But I will say the casting makes all the difference. I mean, Ebony Flesh is just a one-handed, you just quickly cast a spell and then you have protection. Dragon Hide, you have to stand there with both hands and do this like power-up charge, like dance ritual thing before you can use it. And it's not that much of a difference. So I always use Ebony Flesh unless I'm really a guy that, you know, like has no sort of armor or something. Dual casting, Alteration's always been a thing I do kind of like while I'm fighting other people, so I never dual cast it, but you know, you could. Magic Resistance, this is really helpful, blocks 30% of a spell's effects. Mage Armor, so this is kind of the thing about Alteration, is I'm kind of, with my whole clothes with heavy armor, kind of in a way this is like the worst build you could do, because then you kind of lose out on this ability and the heavy armor's ability. If you're trying to make the best build possible, you kind of want to stick to a path. You either want to do clothes, heavy armor, or light armor. You don't really want to mix and match. That's never really that good. I just did it for a cool look and for lore purposes. But yeah. So, you know, if you're doing robes or clothes, you want to do all clothes, nothing with an armor rating, because then this makes, you know, twice as strong. I want to say the second upgrade is like 3 times as strong, then like 4 times as strong. It might even be like 5 or 6 times as strong, if not wearing armor. So if you have no armor, protection spells like Stone Flesh, Ebony Flesh, Dragon Hide, they do more protection. But if you have any sort of armor on, they don't. That bonus is canceled out. So it really makes sense to either do, you know, mage armor with no clothes or real physical armor. And I think I heard, oops, sorry, I had an alarm go off. But I think I heard that mage armor, when like fully upgraded with like the skills and everything, or these perks and not wearing any armor, I want to say is like around as good as like a orcish, or like I think I heard that kind of like a mid-level, like definitely not like an ebony, or like even though it's called Ebony Flesh, it's not like the same thing as wearing ebony armor. I'm pretty sure. I want to say it's about as good as like orcish or something like that, or like you know, one of those kind of mid-tier armors. So yeah. And then stability just makes them have greater duration. Nothing more annoying than like you're fighting some guy and then you kind of realize, oh crap, like my protection spell broke a while ago, and so I've just been taking way more damage than I, need to be. And then Atronach absorbs 30% of magicka of any spells that hit you. So basically, yeah, any spell that hits you, 30%. Well, okay, here's what I'm not completely sure, and I guess you could comment down below. Originally, I believed that it was every spell that hits you, 30% of like whatever magicka it took to make that spell you get. However, I think it might be more, because just not that many things function like that in Skyrim. I believe what a more Skyrim logic-y thing to me would be is it's probably 30% of hits you get a certain percentage of magic, or 30% of magicka attacks that hit you, you get a certain amount of magicka back. So it's more about the 30% is the number of spells, not the like amount of magicka the spell took to create. But yeah. Something to note that could serve as a possible improvement to this build. I didn't choose to do it on this one, but it could, you know, always help a build like this. Is, you know, shock is definitely the best type of magic. But if you are a Nord, frost magic does more damage, I believe. And if you are a Dunmer, same thing goes for fire. So that would kind of make sense, you know. Let's test out this, what's it called? So as you can see, oh yeah, so that kills them pretty quick. I mean, obviously wolves don't have very much health. But, you know, these guys died from just standing right next to me. I mean, I didn't hit them with a single attack. I just cast Stormcloak. So yeah, that's a little demonstration of Stormcloak. But yeah, so if you wanted to do fire or frost for this guy, you know, races can help out with that. And that might even be better than doing a shock guy. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's just something to note about how you could tweak this build to make it a little better or different or more suited or suitable for you. Alright guys, we're gonna get skilled off into apps to test the build out a little bit. So yeah, let's do just that. Oh, lightning storm, that's not what I want. So yeah, chain lightning is a more ranged one, so let's start out with some chain lightning and some of the sword. And I'm going to turn back on, I had turned off this, the HUD and the crosshair for, you know, showing you the build purposes, but so you can see my health and stuff and see how this build is holding up. I'll pull out the bars. So as you can see, that actually does a pretty decent amount of damage against a Draugr Right. This sword is going to come in and just finish the job real easily. You know, that's the thing is when you put a lot of enchantments in a sword, magicka can kind of seem weak, but, you know, magicka is still really good and helpful. I mean, these ranged attacks do a decent amount of damage. Okay, so that's the paralyzed, so you can see it lasts for a good couple seconds. He's still paralyzed. Let me do some ebony flesh and a lightning cloak. So this is kind of how you protect yourself. You just make sure you have a protection spell on and they take damage if they get anywhere near you. So as you can see, even with the clothes I have, the armor I do have, and these spells definitely make this restoration, I mean, my health hold up nicely. I'm definitely not, you know, on the verge of death or anything. So yeah, as you can see, that paralyze is super helpful because, I mean, they can't even fight back and you can just finish them off. So here is a good time for lightning cloak, since there's going to be multiple of them getting in close proximity with me. And you know what, just in case it faded, let me go ahead and give myself another ebony flash. Oh crap. So yeah, now you can see I'm kind of getting like jumped. This is kind of not the situation you necessarily want to be in with this build. You can't really stay here and take a ton of punches. What is nice is, you know, this paralyzed lets me kind of separate enemies so I can take them out one-on-one. God damn. If they were all coming at me at the same time, I think I would die pretty quickly. But you know, this paralyzed, that's really helpful for this build. God damn. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think you guys get a pretty good sense of this build. There's just a ton of enemies here because this is kind of like a glitch area, or you know, you're not supposed to get here until end game. So yeah, that's probably all I need to show you. I mean, y'all kind of get the gist of this build. I think it's a pretty good build. I think it's pretty fun. It's kind of just like a slightly more sword-focused, maybe a little bit more difficult version of my paladin build. But you know, I really like it a lot. And yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next.